Imagine you're living in a country where the leader has ruled for more than 2 decades. A man who controls television, radio, the secret police, and every factory line. A man who demands loyalty, fear, and silence. Now imagine that on one cold December day, everything changes. On national television, the people turn against him. The army abandons him. And 3 days later, he and his wife are tried, sentenced, and executed. Live broadcast. Overnight, the world watches a dictator fall. This is the story of Nicolae Ceaușescu, Romania's last communist leader, and how his reign ended in one of the most shocking moments of the 20th century. Stay with me because the twist in this story lies not just in the killing of a dictator, but in how it happened, how fast it happened, and how television itself became the stage for the final act. The Iron Rule. To understand how Ceaușescu fell, we must first understand how he held power. Nicolae Ceaușescu rose to the top of the Romanian Communist Party in 1965, eventually becoming the country's supreme leader. He controlled everything: factories, media, schools, even your family's private life. Critics were jailed. Dissent was crushed. Romania under his rule was isolated, impoverished, and drenched in propaganda. But the outward calm was deceptive. The economy collapsed. Food shortages, blackouts, and forced exports left millions of Romanians living in misery while Ceaușescu and his wife, Elena, lived in luxury. The secret police, the Securitate, kept eyes and ears on everyone. Fear reigned. In December 1989, the world's communist systems were visibly crumbling. In Romania, Ceaușescu's grip appeared unbreakable, until that final winter. The spark came in the city of Timișoara. A local priest dared to criticize the regime. On December 16th, protests erupted after the Securitate tried to evacuate the church. Soldiers opened fire. Word spread. Factories stopped. Workers refused orders. The fear machine cracked. By December 21st, Ceaușescu ordered a mass rally in Bucharest, a show of strength he believed would silence any doubts. He expected cheers, waves of approval, a grand spectacle televised across the country. Instead, something unexpected happened. In the square before him, tens of thousands stood motionless. The massive speakers blared applause. But the reality was different. It was a fabricated roar. And then, a whistle. A shout. The crowd began to boo. On live state TV, the moment changed everything. The fall accelerates. Ceaușescu stepped on stage. He waves. The cheers. The crowd, silent. The television audience sees a transformed leader, flustered, surprised, unsteady. He tries to continue, to promise pay rises, to praise himself. But the moment had passed. Outside, other cities exploded in protests. The army, long loyal, began to hesitate. Soldiers deserted their posts. The secret police lost control. Helicopters flew overhead. Tanks appeared. And on state television, control slipped. On December 22nd, Ceaușescu and Elena fled Bucharest in a helicopter. Their pilot was ordered to land. The new power in Romania, the National Salvation Front, had taken over television, using it to broadcast its own messages. The crowd had taken over the narrative. Meanwhile, the couple's isolation deepened. Their loyal guards melted away. When they landed near Targovist, they were arrested by local troops. The world watched as the dictator and his wife were effectively captured. And with that, the final act began. The show trial. December 25, 1989, Christmas Day. At a military base in Targovist, an extraordinary military tribunal convened. The charges were monumental: genocide, undermining the economy, attempting to flee with more than $1 billion in foreign banks. The trial lasted less than 2 hours. Lawyers either refused to defend or immediately sided with prosecutors. Ceaușescu and his wife refused the legitimacy of the court. Nicolae even declared he answered only to the Great National Assembly. When the verdict came, death by firing squad, there was no mercy. The couple were marched out, their hands bound, Elena crying for her children, the soldiers, while Nicolae began to sing the Internationale in defiance. The cameras were there. But when the execution volley fired, the footage was incomplete. Viewers saw only the bodies afterwards, Ceaușescu's face in a pool of blood, lying against the wall of the barracks. On television, Romania watched its ruler die. A dictator, toppled, humiliated, executed, a final act recorded, shown, and broadcast. The significance. Why does this matter? Because this wasn't just the fall of one man. It was the fall of an entire system, in the only Eastern Bloc country where the dictator himself faced immediate execution. Because television, a tool of the state, became the tool of the revolution. The rally that was supposed to demonstrate control became the moment of collapse. The broadcast that mocked dissent became the broadcast of liberation. And because what followed was uncertain. Romania's revolution is sometimes called the stolen revolution, because the legacy of the rebellion remains contested, and the structures of power never fully collapsed. For us, decades later, this is a live case study in how a regime built on fear can unravel in days, how media and power collide, and how the moment of truth arrives when the crowd stops clapping and starts shouting. Legacy and reflection. So here's the legacy. On Christmas Day, December 25, 1989, Nicolae and Elena Ceaușescu were executed, and their bodies buried in unmarked graves. Romania entered a new era, but the shadows remained. Some of the old guard stayed in place. The media changed hands, but power didn't vanish overnight. For viewers in 2025, there's a lesson. When the leader controls the camera, the microphone, the crowd, and the weapons, nothing seems impossible. Until the crowd decides the script is over. And then, the camera becomes the stage for the end. If you ever think power is unbreakable, remember what happened in Bucharest in December 1989. If this story shocked you, share this video, hit subscribe, and turn on the bell, because more hidden stories of history's turning points await. Thanks for watching. Until next time, question the narrative, and remember, sometimes people write their own final scene.